Hey there guys, I'm going to be showing some tips on how to do the Extreme Daily Battle for the Akstar and Lastwell event, and then I'll be showing some tips for how to do the Brave Awakening boss for Akstar, Lastwell, and Eileen. So we're going to start with the Daily Extreme Battle. This is a battle you can do once per day, only once per day. It gives a whole lot of EP and bonus currency, and it's only cost 10 energy, so it's really worth running. You also get some rainbow tickets and other tickets for the first time you clear it, which is real nice. The catch is you can only bring bonus units and you cannot bring a friend. So the list of units you can bring is Neovision's Akstar, Lastwell, and Eileen. You can also bring the new Shinju and Pekiota. And from old units, you can bring Madame Adele, Physalis, Nagi, Yigo, Reagan, Kanshira, and Lastwell. So you might have noticed from that list there's no tank, there's no breaker, and the only healer is Ayaka. It's a pretty bad list of units for the most part to do an actual hard fight. So we're going to be showing a way to do it though. So we're going to start with Eileen. She's on Golem for Provoke. Now we gave her full evasion and the Moogle plushie. So this doesn't require any limited gear, like if you don't have the Moogle charm or the producer's jacket. We're just going to use a traditional cast Provoke every turn tank. So she's full evasion, she's got that. We gave her the Cactuar material for Mirage. That's going to be helpful for the final fight. You also want some fire and ice resist on your team. So we're going to be using buffs from Carbuncle to give 70% buffs to fire and ice. So we're good with just 30 on the team from that. We're going to be using Shinju as our buffer. This can be literally any unit you want. This can be any of the units. This is not specific to her, but she's on Carbuncle for Dispel. That's important for the last fight. A fire resist buff and an ice resist buff. I taught Carbuncle these, so you can teach him this with the Esper keys or Esper ore. So 70 fire, 70 ice resist, and we gave her dual cast so she can do both per turn as needed. Other than that, because she's a low level unit, you want to make sure that she has 100 ice resist from gear. Because the final boss is going to dispel the team and then follow that up with an ice attack after he dispelled our buffs. So weak units like a level 29, 2000 hit point unit wants to be immune to that. So we're going to give her, full ice immunity. And then 30% fire resist with a buff will give her 100% fire resist. Also, the whole team wants to be immune to paralyze. I should have mentioned that. Everyone's paralyze immune. Pekiota is going to be our breaker. This again can be literally any breaker, any unit you want, because we're breaking with Riku's pouch, which is a 4-star TMR. That gives us Chaos Grenade. It's only a 35% break. It's pretty weak, but it's still way better than no breaks. And there's no good breaker available, so we're taking this for Chaos Grenade. That's literally all he's got, and because he's again a low level, not leveled up unit, we're using high ice resist. I apparently didn't give him enough ice resist. I just noticed that. So we're going to swap this around. I thought I gave him enough. Apparently I didn't. %100% ice resist. So there we go. And I give her enough. Let me see. Yeah, okay, good. So 100% ice resist on the weak units. Now we're using Reagan. He doesn't need 100% because he's a leveled up unit. He'll still survive the attack after the boss dispels us with 60 ice resist. You do want some. You don't need a full 100%, and he's got a lot of fire resist. He's using an ice weapon because all the enemies are vulnerable to ice. Also, they're all dragons, so Dragon Killer helps. And again, paralyze immunity. And we're taking Neovision's Lastwell. Now, he is very overkill, so is Neovision's Akstar. They can one-shot everything, including the final boss. If you've got them, you don't need this guy, just one-shot it all. So we're going to intentionally do bad damage to show the fight, so we don't just one-shot everything. But again, he's using an ice weapon, and he chains Absolute Mirror of Equity, which chains with Reagan. Now, if you're not bringing Neovision's Lastwell or Akstar, and you're bringing an older DPS, like Physalis or Reagan or maybe just 7-star Lastwell, he's not Neovisioned. They all chain Absolute Mirror of Equity. If you're bringing Madame Adele as your chainer, she chains Stardust Ray, which is not available on any other of these units. So to fix that, if you bring Madame Adele as your chainer, you want to give someone on your team the Wavy Attack materia. This is from the Chocobo trial. You should have this by now. It gives any unit on your team a Stardust Ray physical attack, and if they're dual wielding, it'll cast twice. So Wavy Attack will give anyone in the game double casted Stardust Ray with dual wield. So stick this on like a dual wielded Nagi or a dual wielded Konshira, and they can chain Stardust Ray with your Madame Adele to give you a nice damage source. Alright, let's get in here and show this fight. So the first two trash waves are pretty simple. It's just a bunch of single target physical attacks, which we're going to deal with by provoking with an evasion unit. There's some AoE fire attacks, which we're going to deal with by buffing fire resist. And then we're going to use Pekiota to break with Chaos Grenade. Now Laswell could one-shot these with his triple casted chain, but we don't want to do that, so we're just going to use just a bad chain. Okay, even his bad chains deal a ton of damage. And then we'll just use Reagan for whatever. Yeah, as you see, the damage difference is pretty high from a Neovisions unit to an old unit. Oh, and there is some, like, I think it's wind, maybe it's non-elemental, some weak attacks that hit your team. Like, it hit a level 30 Shinju for barely anything. It doesn't really matter. But we are going to use Lakshmi every now and then to top off the team. So we'll just go ahead and use whatever with Laswell. Whatever. We can just guard these two. We don't need to cast this again. The guy that jumped is going to land on your Provoker, but it's evaded, so who cares? Here's the weak wind attack. You know, it doesn't matter. So again, we're just, using whatever. We're just slowly killing these. If you're not using like a Neovisions unit, obviously it would take you maybe a few extra turns. Maybe a lot of extra turns. Alright, so the guy jumped. That was annoying. We'll go ahead and top off the team. We'll just guard everyone. He'll land on your Provoker. Now, if you're using Ayaka, you don't need the Esper to heal, obviously. But I didn't want to use Ayaka because she's literally the only healer available. And if you don't have her, it's like, what am I going to do? Well, everyone in the game has Lakshmi. And, of course, now if you chain for real, you'll do way more damage. And using perils and all that. So this fight is, most of the same. So we'll just Chaos Grenade. We'll buff Fire Resist. We don't need Ice Resist quite yet. That's for the last fight. We'll provoke. We'll use Reagan to show real quick. We'll Libra the guys. As you see, they're neutral to everything. They're weak to ice. They're resistant to fire. So actually, don't use fire here, but use anything else. And then Laswell can just we'll just use a bad skill to intentionally not kill anything. And here you go. Here's some AoE fire attacks, deal no damage. Some single target physicals, deal no damage. So this wave is much of the same. And now if you've got Neovisions, Laswell, or Akstar, you would do this every turn. You would just triple cast their good chain and then change targets, and it would kill everything. Okay, maybe not everything. There we go. Reagan's got us. Alright, and now for the final boss. Now the final boss is a little bit more tricky. Alright, so he does ice. I actually don't know if he does fire too, but we're going to buff fire just in case. We're going to break with Chaos Grenade. Eileen is going to provoke. And then now we're gonna use his Laswell's old chain. We're not going to use his Neovision skills, and we're going to use Reagan's chain. But I'm going to intentionally bad chain because I want to show this fight. I don't want to one-shot him. So we're just going to deal low damage at first. Alright, so here's the boss. He's going to do some attacks. He's going to do an ice attack. Oh, he actually didn't do the ice attack. That was convenient. But he gave himself a lot of buffs. So we're going to dispel that with Pekiota. Remember I mentioned she's on Carbuncle? We're going to refresh the ice buff, and we're going to cast Dispel. That's going to dispel the Mirage, dispel all his buffs. But we did dispel all the buffs. We're going to break him again with Pekiota. And now we're going to use Eileen to use the Cactuar Mirage Materia. And again, we're going to intentionally bad chain. We're going to break that chain because I don't want to kill this boss yet. So we're doing bad damage here. So we can see more of the fight. There's the ice attack. It's actually a physical ice, so we miraged it. But if we didn't have Mirage, it wouldn't have hurt us anyway because we would have been provoking or ice resisting. So he buffed himself yet again. So once again, we're going to dispel him with Shinju. We'll refresh the fire resist. I don't think this boss does fire, but I'm refreshing it anyway. So we dispelled again. We broke him again. Alright. So below 50, the boss is going to start using single target attacks that ignore provoke. So this is where Mirage comes in real handy. So we're going to Mirage with the Cactuar materia. And again, we're going to intentionally like bad chain because I don't want to kill him. Alright, so here's some attacks that ignore provoke. And then the breath, whatever. There's the dispel, and here's the ice attack. Now, apparently Pekiota was way too weak, and he died anyway because he's a little poor chipmunk. If you're using like a 7-star unit or something, obviously they wouldn't die. Pekiota is, I guess, just too weak for. Actually, he's stronger than Shinju. Maybe the boss hit him with a single target attack. I didn't pay attention. Maybe I should have been. Whoops. But the boss didn't buff this turn, so we're fine. So we're gonna. Also, he full dispelled our team. I should have mentioned that our team has been completely dispelled. So we're gonna use Shinju to reapply buffs. That's not buffs. Fire and ice resist. We might not need fire on this guy. We'll provoke again with Eileen, and again we'll. I'll try to intentionally not kill this guy. I'll chain really poorly. There we go. So here we go again. More of the same. There's the ice attack, but we're resisting it. Yeah, whatever. He didn't do anything big deal. He is miraging, as you can see. There's no buff, but if you look at the little after image, you can see that he's miraged. Our breaker is currently dead because he's too weak, but whatever. We'll dispel that mirage. So the boss has no breaks at all right now. So I guess we'll use Reagan to break the boss. I forget which of Reagan's skills is a break. I think this is his break. I could be wrong. That wasn't his break. Okay, well, whatever. He's almost dead. We're going to intentionally not kill him again because just to show that we don't need to do super good damage here. We'll go ahead and Mirage with the Cactuar materia. If our breaker wasn't dead, this would be going a lot smoother, but he is dead. There's the ice attack. We miraged it. The boss buffed again, so we'll just dispel that with Pekiota, with Shinju. I know Reagan's got a break. I just don't know which one it is. This must be the break then. There's the break. Okay. So now the boss is broken again. So Lastwell will go ahead and just use his chain. Whatever. We're not chaining, so it did low damage. But there you go. There's a way to do it. I have to watch the video and see why Pekiota died. Maybe it was one of those single target attacks that ignores provoke. I didn't see. I wasn't paying attention. Pekiota dies, we lost our breaker, but as you see, it didn't turn out to be that big a deal. Okay, so there was 2,000 event points, and you get a bunch of currency. Yeah, 20,000 base currency plus the bonus unit you bring, so that was 144,000 currency for 10 energy and 2,000 event points. So it's really worth doing. So now we're going to move along to the Pog boss or whatever. We're going to do the 250 version. So this guy, I forget which. Yeah, it's daggers and katana. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna show. So you can bring a friend if you want to. I'm gonna not bring a friend to show you how to do it with this 5 units in house. So we're gonna load my daily coin farm. All right. So you can use any units you want. This is not locked to there's no bonus here. This is just bring whatever team you want. So we're gonna be doing it with Poppy. All she's here for literally is for her mitigation and stat buff on turn 1. Rosa is dual-wielding katanas. Now, she's doing that because I gave her Jiraiya's TMR, allows her to equip katanas. If you don't have Jiraiya's TMR, she can dual-wield daggers. Daggers and katanas break the boss's break bar. Katanas break it more than daggers, though. So if you've got a way to give someone dual-wield katana with like a barrage skill, that's really good. If you don't have Rosa, you missed that event. Luneth has a skill like that. 7-star Luneth called Blade Shower. The old Rim has like a Dagger Storm ability that can hit multiple times. A few other units have it. Arden has one. Actually, 4-star Setzer has one, but it's random. It might only hit once. So anyway, a unit with a lot of attacks. We're using dual wield katanas. Rosa's obviously the cream of the crop. If you have her, she's amazing. Vaughn is here just for his break. He's going to be doing break and fire and peril. He's also a provoker, but doesn't really matter. Reno is here to chain fire. I gave him a fire weapon. He has permanent triple cast for Absolute Mirror of Equity, which is all that matters. He's just a triple cast Absolute Mirror of Equity chainer that does no damage, whatever. And then I'm using Neovision's Lastwell because he's just high damage. And he's got a fire weapon. You can use any DPS you want. You can use Kuja. You can use Neovision's Cloud. You can use literally anything. But we're using Lastwell because he's, he's new and fresh for me. So we're going to use him. So here's the boss. The boss has 3 body parts. And turn 1, he puts up mitigation on all the parts. So we're going to go ahead and just use Vaughn to use his LB, which AoE breaks everything. We're going to use Rosa to dual cast the Arrow Barrage thing on the body. That's going to remove the break bar. So because she's dual wielding katanas, it takes off a big chunk of the bar per hit. So let's wait for Rosa to finish. Okay, the body is broken. Now we're going to use Poppy. If you're using Poppy, she's good because she has a Stone Killer buff as well, which makes it deal even more damage. But in case you don't have Poppy, we're just going to use a mitigation and stat buff. And then we're just going to triple cast a chain on the body. Then don't forget we're using fire weapons and we imperiled fire with Vaughn. So this will be pretty decent damage. And we're just going to kill the body on turn 1. Now the arms are going to survive, and because the body's dead, the arms are going to get mad. But because we've got mitigation with Poppy, we don't really care. It's going to do some AoE damage, whatever. No big deal. Okay, and the arms are super weak. So now we're just going to reload the triple cast. We're going to start on 1 and then change targets. If I can click, I can't click quick. There it is. I clicked way... I was clicking on the boss's hand. Apparently the hitbox is the shoulder. Well, whatever. We'll take an extra turn. It's not a big deal. Normally I one-shot it. I'll kill it on turn 2 by changing targets, but I changed targets way too slowly. So there we go. So there's a quick and easy way to kill the Brave Awakening boss. So to recap, you want to buff mitigation and stats on turn 1 with someone like Epsilon Nicole has that. Poppy's probably a great choice. You want to break the bar with a multi-hitter. You want to break AoE with a breaker, and then just chain, kill the body on turn 1, and then kill the arms on turn 2. And then here's our Brave Awakening. You get between 17 and 20 per kill. You got to kill this guy a lot of times to get enough Awakening materials. There you go. There's some tips for the Extreme Battle and the Awakening boss. Hope it's been helpful. See you guys later.